Hey guys, it's Cruiser ZJ94 here. I got another one for you today. Today I'm going to be replacing the water pump on my 94 5.2 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This works through 93 to 98 5.2s and 5.9s. This will also work in a Dodge Dakota and a Dodge Ram, pretty sure. There are a few different steps though. So let's go ahead and get started with the repair. First thing we're going to take off is the fan shroud. There are two 10mm bolts right here. I'm going to take those off. And then the next thing you got to take off is the fan itself, clutch fan, whatever you'd like to call it. Here's our 5-blade clutch fan, and here is our fan shroud. Alright, so now that we got the fan and fan shroud out, this is obviously our water pump. You have one hose here, a hose up here, and you have this little guy right here, which I'm not really sure. I think that's a return line. I'm not really sure, but we have to take off the air cleaner and get to that. But pretty much it's a straightforward process. Next thing to do is take off the belt, obviously. So for the belt tensioner bolt, you're going to want to get a 15mm. And you're gonna push to the right and it should lift up so you can take off the belt, just like so. There you go, belt has now been removed. If you have any worries on how to put the belt back on, you can use websites like ProDemand, or since Jeep is so thankful enough, they put belt routing right there. If you have AC, obviously it shows all that. So next step is you have to drain the radiator and the water pump. So just obviously put a drain pan underneath that. And if your Jeep was ordered with a skid plate, it'll get everywhere, which that happens. So all right, so now that the antifreeze is drained, there's also a petcock right down there. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take off this line. Don't know why it's pressed in. Don't know if there was any other way Jeep could do it, but that's that. So you're gonna take this off right here, a little clamp, pull that off, and then you're gonna take a 14mm, put it right on that bolt and take that bolt off. So let's go ahead and do that. Now that you got that bolt out, you can also just go ahead and use some pliers, and then you can go ahead and take this clamp, push it back, and then pull that off. I'm not sure if coolant's gonna come out of that. This is my first time doing a water pump on a 5.2, but we're gonna find out. All right, so went ahead and got that off. Now the fun part, trying to take off this hose. It looks like it has pressure in it, but I'll go ahead and get back to you when I get this hose off. As you guys can see, I got the hose pulled off. Now we're gonna start unscrewing some other stuff on this water pump and get ready to take out. Forgot to mention that all bolts on the water pump are 14mm right here. So yeah, pretty straightforward process. Here's a little FYI. Both hose clamps are, what is it, 5/16. So just a little heads up, or you can use a flathead screwdriver. Either or works. All right, so now that you got that hose off and made a mess all over your floor, next thing you're gonna wanna do is take off. You wanna loosen this hose clamp right here. And once that's loosened up decent enough to where you can move it around, is you now want to start taking off all your water pump bolts, which like I said before are 14mm. And be mindful of this guy right here. You should be able to pull this out, pull it up. You should be able to get it out. So let's go ahead and get started with the removal. There's a total of 7 bolts. You have 3 down here, 3 on top, and 1 right here. So one little trick I like to do is I do like to draw the outline of this thing onto the cardboard box and poke holes in it so I know where to put my bolts and I can remember where those bolts go. I'm not entirely sure if they're different lengths. Pretty sure they might be, but it always helps. It's not the prettiest drawing in the world, but it'll definitely help me and show me where my bolts went. So right here, you have the connector and all that. So basically what you want to do now is just poke a hole in this, all these little bolt holes, and then when you take your bolts out, you just want to put them right in here. If you decide to do that, now is a good time to go ahead and finish taking off all 7 bolts on your water pump and then slowly take it out. This thought I'd go ahead and mention, you can't get a socket on this bolt right here on top of the pulley, so you need a 14mm wrench. You also won't get it off. You're gonna have to take off the water pump to get the wrench off. So just thought I'd go ahead and throw that in. And right now I'm ready to pull this thing off. So it probably would have helped if I took this bolt out. I didn't realize it was still tightened in, but let's go ahead and, oh yeah, it's ready to come out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this out. Since I can't get it on camera, I'll come back to you guys when I got it out. So just to make it a little easier to get this out from behind this power steering pump pulley, I took this top hose off and shoved it right back here, so it gives me a little bit more leverage. So I got the power, water pump out. I just wanted to go ahead and say this real quick. Your best bet is to loosen the power steering pump. It takes 13mm bolts. I'm pretty sure it's 3 of them. Yeah, 3, and it comes right off. And then like that, you can get that off. Now the next part we got to figure out is how to take this out of the water pump without breaking it, because it is rusted in there. All right, so the pipe that presses into here does have an O-ring on it, and you can just turn it a few times and it should pull right out. It was a pain in the ass, but once it comes out, the kit comes with a little rubber O-ring right there. You're gonna put that on there and obviously put it in a new one. So it wasn't that, I mean, I'm just glad it wasn't extremely hard to get out. So we got everything cleaned up and this is ready to go back on. You have to screw this in and put the new O-ring on this line here. The only problem is this isn't a tight fit in here, so my only concern is this might leak, and if it does, it's pretty much at the top, so this should be pretty easy to replace if it does. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the gasket on and put it in. All right, so I got both hose clamps tightened up, water pump is tightened up, everything's ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up the water pump, or the power steering pump, and I'm gonna put on this line here and tighten it in there. So let's go ahead and do that. So I finally got everything put back together. I got my heat return hose, whatever it is, put back on. Just got to put this clamp on it. It's tightened down. I did put a little bit of silicone on it so it wouldn't leak, and I went ahead and tightened down the power steering pump. So all that's left is the belt, and obviously put that back on. And then I think the fan's down. We should be good to fire this girl up. All right, so everything's done. Next thing is the belt, and then the fan, radiator cover, whatever, fan cover, and then some fluid, and it's ready to go. So thanks to the Jeep gods, we have a belt routing right here. So it's gonna be very simple to route our Jeep belt back on. So let's go ahead and do that.
So he chucked 2 of them, his wife chucked 1, both of them going up.
Everything is back together. We are ready to start it up and start bleeding some radiator 50-50 mix into it. And that is a job well done. So I will go ahead and start it up for you guys. Job done. Took about an hour and 45 minutes worth of work. It was actually pretty straightforward and easy.